Hello and welcome to a special masterclass on the future of digital manufacturing presented by CNBC TV 18 and powered by Infor. During the pandemic, many vulnerabilities of the global supply chain and manufacturing as a whole came to the fore. It became imperative for businesses to establish a well-functioning and agile manufacturing unit for any future uncertainties. To operate in a resilient, secure, and a sustainable way, manufacturers need digital monetization and a strong culture. In this masterclass, many industry leaders and domain experts will talk about the recent shift of digital technologies from a nice to have to essential, map the techniques that can help boost capabilities and contingency planning of supply chains to optimize manufacturing and how to use advanced analytics to complement it. Today, we're joined by Bino George, the Director of Solution Consulting for Infor India, Mr. Rakesh Dubey, the Director Administration and Operations at Steel Strong Valves Private Limited, and Mr. Rajiv Singh, the IT Program Director, ERP and Digitization Projects for Vikas Group, and I am Reema Tendulkar from CNBC TV 18. Gentlemen, welcome, and it's a pleasure speaking with you and interacting with you today. Bino, the first question is, when we talk about digital manufacturing, what exactly do we mean? Can you just lay out the context for us as we start this discussion?
Thanks, Rima, for the question, and hello to everybody on the panel. When we talk about digital manufacturing, it's essentially ensuring that the data that you have on all the things that you do digital, from maybe a sales order, purchase order, manufacturing order, all of those are available for reuse seamlessly across the enterprise. That's the sum and substance of what I would say is digital. Let me back it up with an example. An example that I want to give you is if there is an innovation center or an R&D center within an organization and they work on a different application than the ERP, they would want to actually pull that data in seamlessly into the ERP to actually take it for bulk production after the certifications and getting approvals and the right approvals for the product to go to the market. So how do you do that? That would be digital. How do you get reporting done on dashboards? It would be digital. How would you get payments or GST approvals done for all the GST paid to the government? That's all digital. So you will see that different systems coexisting and seamlessly talking to each other is what I would give as a first cut at what digital manufacturing is all about.
Rakesh, so how does a company pivot from being a traditional company, an analog company, into a digital company? Now, Bino has explained what digital manufacturing is. It's leveraging data seamlessly across all the operations of the organization, no working in silos. But what are the factors one needs to take into account as we make this pivot to digital manufacturing and the digital world?
So traditionally, manufacturing companies, those who are not sophisticated technology and upgradation, those companies are not able to capture real-time data. So digitalization, after digitalization is there, they have to face a lot of challenges like people trainings and how to set people's mindset to convert this thing in real time, because in manufacturing lot of changes, fabrications, manipulations during this processes people are doing. So to capture real time validated data is the challenge which I can think is the biggest challenge in front of manufacturing company.
Okay, we'll talk about some of the trends in order to obtain this real-time validated data, which will ensure the success of digital manufacturing. But that's an important point, Rakesh. Thanks for highlighting it. Rajiv, I want you to come in on the ERP aspect. Now, how crucial is an ERP system in the digital manufacturing? We know broadly that it will help in improving your efficiency, productivity, the competitive edge. But can you, throw some more light on how exactly it works and fits in the puzzle?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Rima. Thank you, everyone on a panel. See, basically, I'm taking ERP as the core foundation of manufacturing company. So all about if we talk about the digital in manufacturing, it is more on the digitalization of the operations processes, right? Inventory and of course, whatever even the compliances, right? And the financials. So whenever we are talking all those processes and the operation on the digital form, so definitely we have required a very robust system, right? where all those information are interrelated, interlocked, and talk with each others. Right? So for that, of course, we call as a the software, which in a combined we are using in the term like ERP, enterprise resource planning, which plans all your enterprise resources. So in fact, the boundary of the resources has been increased from people, processes, and the product. It now increase further more also, right? It is not only limited to all the three aspects. There are multiple, right? So, in terms of when any of the manufacturing company looking ahead on the digitalizations, of course, there are many things which will be going to be add up. But the first and foremost important part, what is your foundation, right? So, being it treated as the robust ERP, right? So, ERP will be going to play as a very vital role. If the foundation is not strong, then definitely it will be going to collapse whatever the investment which we are going in terms of the digitalizations. Yeah.
ERP is the core foundation, the
Yeah.
backbone of digital manufacturing. Just one follow up question. I think right now most of the ERP systems are deployed at the company's physical location, but I think cloud based ERP systems are also catching on quickly. Could you tell us the pros and cons?
During the pandemic, we have at least all the companies has understand the heat of moving technology on the cloud, right? So all the digital aspects, because what happened whenever the lockdown was announced, and people are struggling and the fear, go out and step out from their home, right? So at the same time, the companies like the service industry, when the manufacturing, certain the documentations were going on, where we were allowed work from home facilities to all my employees. But at the same time, we have to also ensure all my servers are running in place. For that, we have to arrange the resources, has to be go on office and all. So that was a very difficult thing. This is one. Similarly, the market and the business are very volatile and expanding in a very rapid way. So all the manufacturing companies are, establishing the plants to facilitate, their OEMs, the customers, right, on a different locations. So seamless connecting, so for seamless connecting, it is always easy to deploy, the application on the central location. So if we talk about the central location, of course, the cloud would be going to be the things which comes in mind. So now these days, it is going to be hassle free. Of course, the talent pool, again, the talent is also an issue. So when the companies are moving on the cloud, they are not worried on the talent pool. Of course, the cybers and many things is which is now the worried area now these days. So having the central pool of the understanding, the people, the knowledge, thought process, and of course there is no bar on the limitation from anywhere you can connect on those the servers and devices.
Okay, so talent and security are additional concerns. Binu, how does a company successfully transform? So we've seen a lot of companies invest in technology, but they're still struggling to achieve end-to-end visibility across their supply chain. What, according to you, is the reason for that, and how does one overcome it?
Great question, because Rima, the point is, let me give you a catchphrase first. Uh, no two companies going through a digital transformation may look and do the same things. So digital transformation is very personal to every company, one, and that is maybe the reason. Like there was a time in the 90s, early 2000s when ERP was rolling into India, and there was quite a lot of resistance. But after a point, they hit an inflection point to really go and get ERP everywhere. And everybody thought that if my competition has got ERP, I need to have ERP. And that was okay because it was, as Rajiv said, it was supposed to be a cornerstone or a foundation stone for digitizing or data. But when you look at digital transformation, I want to take what Rakesh ji mentioned: validated, genuine data at real time. Like, if you're molding something or you're manufacturing something and you're bending that data and you're pulling that using an MES, which is a manufacturing execution system, and pulling the data into your ERP to make sense with it, that is more important. Now, each person or each enterprise would want to have their own challenges to be overcome. So there you'll find that what worked for one company may not really work for another company and give that much benefit. So that is one of the reasons that if you really just replicate your processes because somebody else is doing it, may or may not give you real benefits.
We are making considerable strides, right? So, how does one overcome this real time, genuine, validated data? So, sensors, for instance, right? They're getting better and better with every single day. Can you talk, Rakesh, about some of the trends that we are seeing in many of these building blocks to build tomorrow's future digital manufacturing systems, ecosystems?
Yeah, we can benchmark with practices which are available, like lean manufacturing. So, lean manufacturing, we can collect data, we can validate, then we can analyze data. After that, we can feed those data, and on the basis of this study, we can eliminate all the wastages. So, there are some tools available for project management also. So, people's training to how to execute any project, how to collect data, how to interpret data, how to do analysis. So training, I can say the people first mindset changing, then training, and the put peoples and the group of people's team building in this project. So these are the things which we can do to overcome these challenges.
But Rajiv, we're living in this data surfeit world in a way. Uh, so, how does one leverage this data to gain competitive advantage?
So let me further elaborate on it. So day in day out, you know, now earlier, we used to save the data in KBs. Then we moved on the MBs, then GBs. Now we are talking about the terabytes and petabytes, right? So if we are moving towards the digital world, so uh, uh, there is whatever the connectivity, whether it is the machines, the human inputs, the cloud, anywhere. So on every instance, on every seconds, we are generating the data from the across all those devices, right? So now the important, if we don't have a data, see altogether, if I talk about the digitalizations, like people are talking in our industry, like industry 4.0. So what is all about? So industry 4.0 is something where we are connecting our machines to the IT devices, right? So where each machine are generating data. So the first and foremost important, we should have a data, right? And then how we are going to cleanse those data for the purpose of cleansing, and for purpose of for purpose of validating, and purpose of reuse, which will be going to further help in analyze in terms of increase your productivity, increase your productivity, enhance your quality and all. So important is the data and how we are going to treat those data further.
No, absolutely. Binu, can you talk about some of the best practices when it comes to data analytics? Because manufacturing processes, supply chains are becoming long and complex. So streamlining processes and optimizing supply chain becomes critical, and therein comes data analytics. Could you share your thoughts on it and the best practices companies can adopt?
So again, Rima, it's a very good question from the fact that cloud-based analytics is the way out, because you will look at different ERP, one ERP, different subsystems or additional applications within the ecosystem of an enterprise. And what you really require is to pull those data at one place where you have an analytic dashboard and it is able to deliver the data that you require. For example, it could be what Rakeshji mentioned about validation data. It could be what Rajiv mentioned about R&D data or supply chain data that's coming in. So analytics is on the cloud is the way forward, is what I strongly believe, because you are not looking at trying to deploy analytics over the next 12 months. You should be able to switch it on as a service as you go forward. All these capabilities of integration should be actually switching on abilities. Let me put my point across with an example. Suppose you are having a dashboard which is actually looking at your piston on the of one of your equipments, key equipments on the shop floor, and you have sensors based on that equipment, and there are 3 or 4 variables that are getting captured and taken to the cloud. And using an AI model, you're able to model, and with the huge amounts of data that you get every 90 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever frequency of time, you're able to model and anticipate its breakdown, or anticipate its deterioration of the quality of product that it's pushing out of its equipment. You are able to better use the equipment, stop making wastages because of quality rejections, and you're able to anticipate the breakdown of that piston beforehand and take it down for maintenance at a time when the systems, maybe shifts are changing, and you would have a breather point to do it. So analytics is to be very, very seamlessly picked up. You can't get, as some of our esteemed panelists have been saying, you can't get data that is data is also got freshness. You cannot take data and analyze data that is already stale, if I could use that word.
Rajiv, what is the gestational period that companies need to be ready for to realize the benefits of implementing an ERP system?
Very good questions, and of course, these questions, any of the stakeholders, whenever they are thinking and looking of investments, the first question and foremost questions they have asked, to the the IT and the implementation team, right? What will be the ROI and when we will going to achieve? So it is all depend upon how and what the priorities we are going to set, right? So the goal and the ROI will be a start coming maybe just immediately after implementation, right? And it will take let's suppose another 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. It is depend what's the goals we are setting and what sort of ROI and the phases we are going to create. So I just give you an example in that way. So let's suppose my first important goal to integrate all the department in a one roof, right? And the goal is also to digitalize the entire operation processes like manufacturing, the warehousing, the sales department, purchase processes, the financial. So that goal will be going to be achieved a very immediate day one when we are going live on the ERP. This is one. Now the another goal is I want the inventory will be going to be controlled. Yeah, inventory will be going to be reduced by, let's suppose, certain 2%, 3%. So maybe that particular goal could be would be achieved in another 3 months, 6 months time. Similarly, what Binu said. Now, once we have the pile of data, let's suppose 1 year data. So now the company want to achieve a certain decisional goals. Now they want to take a certain business decisions. So definitely they have required a certain 6 month, 8 month data to take a decision. So for that, of course, the analytics and all will be going to be play. So that kind of goal set will be going maybe achieve after 8 months, 1 year time. So it is all depend upon the companies how precisely and how meaningful they are going to set a goal in terms of return.
Rakesh ji, could you also, come in on this particular point, the kind of goals that you have set, for your own companies, the kind of ROI or the benefits that you've already seen due by implementing an ERP system?
Actually, ERP data and MIS plays very important role. So we should have data structure in such a form where we can take decision, futuristic decision on the basis of this past data which we collected. And on the basis of past data, we can project our growth plan also, because data, this is a basic purpose of ERP is to enable management to take decision for business perspective point of view, and we divided this business perspective, customer point of view, financial point of view, internal business development, what our competitor in doing, and what and all are the best practices available in the market. Like in HR we are following balance scorecard, and for manufacturing lean and Six Sigma, Kaizen, and different other uh, available tools we are using. So our target is to using this tool, we should have appropriate, validated, correct data, which can enable us to decide appropriate for our business.
You said, Rakesh, that we should be able to use past data to detect the future, to make projections for the future. But we know the future is extremely uncertain, right? If the last 18 months have been anything but certain. So, in that sense, could you tell us the benefits of having an ERP system in place? What benefits did it provide to the company? In the last 18 months, at a time when supply chains were disrupted, the consumer demand was changing constantly. Could you share your thoughts on the benefits of having it already?
Future is we cannot know about what is going on in the future, but at least if we say that like COVID like conditions and such type of things are there, so we can have A plan, B plan and C plan. We should have some alternative plan to overcome such type of scenario. So month on month basis, like it's happened with us also, so we had divested our business in some other vertical in case, and we are planning to divert our business in some other vertical, and internal business we are increasing our range of product. So such type of alternatives we are keeping in our mind if futures are uncertain.
Same question to you. Amongst the clients that you work with, could you tell us the companies which had adopted this smart manufacturing, this digital manufacturing, how were they better equipped vis-a-vis competition to navigate through this uncertain period?
Yeah, so what has really happened is, good news is that Indian manufacturing has really adopted to ERPs. My experience starts from late 90s to, till now. This ERP as a cornerstone has gone in pretty much 80-85% of all, if nothing, a financial system at least in place. That's the basic that we have done as Indian manufacturing. Now, what really has come about is the one innovative companies have done is they have gone ahead and instead of sitting on their haunches, they have actually gone in and brought in MES systems, warehouse management systems, because as you rightly mentioned, Rima, supply chains got ripped. They got really whipped. They got pushed in. Previously, everybody knew what was coming in and how it could, what would be the lead time to deliver. But now you don't really know what is coming and how long will it take to deliver because of containers or shipping constraints and all of that. So what really happened is the guys who were already working with use cases for digital, like for example, visibility. Some of our customers were working with control towers. They were looking at how do I pick ERP data, warehouse management data, transportation management data, high frequency dispatching and supply chain. They were really leveraging that off, and many of them had to stop the car, but they got a lot of data to act on. That is one piece. A lot of them actually also leverage analytics very well. So that was another piece. These were the two pieces that really came out from talking to customers. Of course, there were smaller things like somebody digitizing their purchase, proof of delivery. Many organizations, especially the B2B space, we were all used to getting a purchase order signed and stamped to say that we received the item. But now you have to find a digital way of doing that.
One more question. A lot of companies, say they want to start their digitization journey, but they all sit at very different digital maturity levels. So, how should they decide what the starting point is? What is the best way to introduce the change, according to you?
It's a use case within the organization. Knowing your pain points, what's hurting bad, and how will digital bring you to the next level of data analytics, or helping the decision makers in the organization to take quick decisions. For example, if you take any organization which is now revamping their ERPs, they really are looking at something that will keep them solidly going for the next 15 years. So digitalization is something that they surely expect to cover while they revamp their ERPs. That is where we are looking at recommending cloud-based enterprise solutions, because then everything is a switching on, right? You don't need your IT person to really struggle over 2 weekends to get the technical upgrade or the product upgrade or the hardware upgrade done, because once you're on the cloud, upgrades are zero. You don't have any upgrades to be done. It's if I could loosely use a comparison, it is like Gmail, right? I don't really know where their hardware is, where it is, but every once in a way they tell me these are some new features that Gmail is now offering, and then I choose whether I want to adopt them or not. That is the first point. Second point is, you really sometimes are not able to move your ERP to the cloud. Then we strongly recommend warehouse management to be moved to the cloud, your analytics to be moved to the cloud, which gives you confidence, because it's standing at that edge of the cliff and wondering, what will happen if I jump and if the parachute doesn't open. So you need to really take baby steps, think through your digitalization strategy as an enterprise, because it is not something that you just take a complete jump and not know what parameters would be your benefit parameters that you want to keep a tab on. So a small answer to a very, very complex question that you asked me, Rima.
Okay, I want to move on now to supply chain 4.0. And here I would request all three of you all to weigh in. There was this McKinsey report which spoke about the potential impact of supply chain 4.0 in the next 2 to 3 years, where they're talking about 30% lower operational costs, a reduction of 75% in lost sales. So can y'all talk about supply chain 4.0 and how it can help gain competitive advantage? Rakesh, first starting with you.
Supply chain is a very important in operational efficiency. So the availability of raw material in shop floor. So after only we can start our manufacturing process. The biggest problem which manufacturing is facing right now is the availability of material on time because of the infrastructures related things. So I can lot time management point of view, and to increase efficiency, people efficiency, the supply chains for 4 point, what you say, this thing, digitalization is going to help to increase efficiency of manufacturing, of course.
Rajiv, would you like to add?
See, precisely, supply 4.0 is, the part of industry 4.0 altogether. So it is, again, it is extended, and why we are stretching to now these days on the supply issues, because worldwide, of course, during the COVID pandemic, right, altogether in India, we are getting a supplies of material from across world, right? So during the pandemic, what was happened due to unavailability of the vessels, productivity, the production issue was in certain countries, even in India, what we have seen the complete lockdown. So whatever the the raw material and finished good we are supplying to the foreign countries, so of course those were impacted. So precisely my companies, then my experience is it is more from the automotive industry. So now you all heard about this the chip issues, and which is hampering the production of the automotive. So it is all about the issues in supply chains. So now once the companies has started shifting on the digitalizations, right? So they were not only focused, because earlier the focus was more on the MES, which is inside your companies and the production operation environment, right? So where you are focused on capturing all those data from your machines, inventory and the people and all. Now this is a little extension. So now you are digitalizing your extend your boundaries, right? So now for a robust system, the way how you are saying, it will be going to have impact on the the cost and all. So what happened, due to irregular supplies, now companies are the forced to have irregular inventories, right? So altogether sales are not there, and you don't have a regular supplies, because whenever you are producing any component, so there are certain bomb, right? So if you are not getting the complete bomb from the supplies, so it means the inventory is going to be piled up. So it is going to be again the crash all your the digital strategy. It is impact on your bottom line, and of course the profitability and all. So now how the companies are moving, they are going to pick the data from your supplies sources, from the SIP sources. So lots of APIs integrations with the robust system like ERP and all. This is what we are also doing now. We are looking at dashboard where we have a complete idea about how much material has been dispatched from our the supplier factories, how much it is reached to the the vessels, what we have booked, where it has reached and all. So this gives the complete the information, which further help in reducing your inventories, right, the plan, and also enhance the commitment to the customer, right, and that customer again, it will be going to a further end customer. So it is a complete mechanism and complete chain, and this is all happening because of what the disruption is going in the market. Yeah.
And we know your thoughts on how the supply chain 4.0 can help operational efficiency, help companies over the long term.
I want to just throw light on 2 points. I may be a little long-winded in this answer because it's the whole supply chain we're talking about. So one is when we say supply chain 4.0, we surely are talking IoT, Internet of Things, which Rajiv ji just mentioned. We are going to be looking at machine stocking, warehouses stocking, truck stocking, and also what is flying off the shelf and what is slow moving to really have an AI/ML model. So let me give you examples here. I, I did mention earlier about how MES or manufacturing execution systems can really pull a lot of data from your manufacturing. Supply chains will have robots or robotics and sensors telling you what is the fill rates and all of that in the warehouse. The thing that we are working with some of our customers is AI/ML modeling for pricing. So looking at what is the stock available, what season are the products in, and looking at what is the pricing variability that has been built in, we are working with some of our customers to actually, retail customers specifically, to actually go and build models where they could drop the price or increase price based on different things like sales happening, prices are holding, the weather condition. Example, the Evergreen, the ship that blocked the Suez Canal. Now, many of our customers, we have a product which does global supply chain, which is on the cloud, and many of our customers immediately found out how they could replenish some of their standing orders by rerouting some other second priority orders. So these are things that are real. These are things that have been done, and you can find a lot of those on our LinkedIn and other posts that we post, all the social posts that's coming through. So these are two things: IoT, analytics, and dynamically able to reroute your supply chain should there be a disruption of any sort.
Thank you for sharing that. Again, the next question, I want to understand what is next? How does a company become crisis resilient, future proof? A lot of companies have taken the step of going digital, of starting their digital transformation journey. But I want to understand what are the trends that we should expect in the next, few years. What's next in terms of seizing the opportunity? And again, I would request all three of you to share your thoughts on this. Rakesh, starting with you.
For manufacturing, there are a lot of department we see in this thing. Okay, design people, those who are in the sales and marketing department, even in purchase, they can work from their home and they can provide data globally and in a pan India level in any of their offices. So now a lot of cultural changes which we had seen in IT industries, now these cultural changes are coming in manufacturing also. So so that I can say is the next change we can observe in manufacturing.
There are two things that I see. You will see a higher speed of personalization, like what Rakesh ji mentioned. They are in the valve business. Now you will see that they want very custom specific valves. Like, there was a time when automobiles were made standard. Then you could customize it on many, many levels, right? You could configure it to many levels. We have a lot of automotive customers, and you will find that they are configuring their solutions and they give customers to configure the solutions at high levels. That will again come very, very seriously. So we call it as personalization, or I would say really able to give lot more configurations to your customers, which was a standard product maybe today. That is going to be one challenge that you will always see. Second challenge that I just want to, because of time constraints, I don't want to elaborate too much, but second challenge that I will always see is that any company which is driving innovation is going to for example, let me give you 3D or additive printing, printing that is happening remotely. There is a case where now a Japanese company may have a distributor or a company in India, and that company provides products to the Indian market. Tomorrow, maybe the Japanese company may just remotely let their customers print the spares or parts that they want, which they can use. This is sounding very sci-fi, but I think some components are already happening in that. Thirdly, you will find another issue that's going to, or another trend that may play out very, very strongly is the fact that we will see a lot more protection against ransomware. So even from a technology perspective, you will need to ensure that you play with partners who are able to protect you from ransomware attacks. This is again a real situation. Indian companies, consulting companies, globally companies are getting hit by ransomware. When we talk of the cloud, these are things that we will have to keep in mind.
Rajiv?
If I see the 3-year trends, especially in automotive component manufacturing, of course, the company has a start, consuming that industry IIoT. So altogether, earlier, before prior to COVID, it was more on the discussion tables. Now, during the COVID, at least we have realized, because what Rakesh ji and Binu just mentioned, uh, you know, there will be a cultural shift, and and one has to be. It is something. It is not a matter of choice. Uh, for for existence and for drive the business, you are forced to adopt those changes. So what we have seen now, the companies are moving more on the the cloud based applications. So SaaS will be going to be the something which will be going to be the adoption in another 3 years. So altogether it is depend whatever the antivirus is, the services, desktop services, hardwares, ERPs, the digital tools like analytics, WMS, all those things will be going to be shift one by one on the SaaS, and this is what the company is adopting. Similarly, now the way how the security is going to be a challenge, because now everything you are putting on the cloud, on the digital terms. So the threat is also increasing and rapidly. Every day we are heard about the something is gone abnormal and all. So people has to be very wise on structuring the digital platform. So this is something where all companies are more focused in another 2 to 3 years. So this is second. And third, now the term called zero trust. Now people has even the companies and the top bosses are shifting the trust from the human to the system. So now this is something where the digital the adoption on the digital things will be going to be a very enhanced, whether it is a PLM, the robust ERP, the web-based application, analytics. These all things will be going to be shifted. So this is, and of course, the one we were very much discussed on the supplies. So we are going to be looked beyond our boundaries. So we more stretch on the supplies, the supply 4.0. Similarly, we are more issues on the CRM part. So altogether, right now the CRM again it is a limited, so it is not too much interconnected. So now it is going to be a single platform where the supplies, ERP, CRM, and the analytics, the AI, ML, all those things will be going to be the single system. So this is what, as per my understanding and what I am seeing the trend, this is going to be a 3 year to 5 year the journey of the digitalizations. Yeah.
3 to 5 years more. The journey has just begun, I guess. At the board level, at the company board level, the mindset has already shifted that digital transformation is now a must have. But what about at the employee level? Are employees still resistant? Are they still resistant to evolve with the technology? What are you observing below the board level?
So yeah, it's a good question because board doesn't know about digital. They want to have more sense, fabric sense of their business, and IT managers and digital, chief operators actually tell them that this is the way to go, and the board kind of acknowledges that. But you're right, employees are always fearing because there is always fear that automation may mean less jobs. And I think by far when ERP came, that was the fear we had 20, 25 years ago. But it has been proved wrong. Now with tools or digitization services like RPAs, robotic process automation in finance and other areas where repetitive work is getting replaced. Employees, like Rakeshji mentioned, employees need to be reskilled. Employees need to be engaged. Employees need to go up the value chain. That is going to surely happen. And we are also, it's my, I always say I'm blessed to be in this generation because We are in a generation where social apps and all, you don't really train anyone for Facebook or Twitter or WhatsApp. You learn it. I think we are going to go to a point where all of these kind of ERPs or business applications will need to provide these kind of user interface, making it very easy for adaptability, usability, so that the millennials are able to pick it up and run. You will get the best talent where it becomes easier for them to adapt and reskill themselves quickly.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. This has been an extremely insightful discussion. Binu, Rajiv, Rakesh, once again, thank you for your time as well as thoughts.